was an inside job.
Oh, yeah.
And
January 6th with the inside
listening to her, this shows how low this administration goes. And it's all catching up with them, as we saw in Wisconsin. It's all catching up with them.
Wait.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, no. In Wisconsin, didn't they find 15K votes were fraudulent? Uh-oh. Illegal votes? You mean? People that didn't exist? The first thing he said described the entire past administration. 27 approval rating for the Dems you lead, chuckle. Yeah, what a chuckle fuck he is. Chuckle fuck Schumer. This is what hell looks like? Yeah, well, what that? I love looking at hellish things, as you can tell.
Look, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Meme culture and politics have become so closely intertwined that the two of them often affect one another. In this instance, many have become aware of the tariffs that the United States is slapping onto the rest of the world's products simply because they've seen the related memes. Maybe you've seen a video of Trump telling everyone they'd be tired of winning, set against the backdrop of the stock market going down.
We're gonna win so much,
we're gonna win
get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning.
Or maybe you've heard about rich people losing large chunks of their wealth. Any way you've encountered it, it's highly likely you learned about tariffs being slapped on other countries through memes first and foremost, and that's kind of a big deal. It means that many people will be consuming their political news through a format that is ultimately dominated by the hands of amateurs. It is no longer the experts in the field who wield the most influence. It is the people who are able to create and disseminate these memes the quickest that will ultimately express the thoughts and feelings of the people. That being said, there is the fact that political parties have been tapping into the power of meme culture
border
for quite
patrol
some time.
Agent, right?
Those who understand digital culture the most are also those who employ memes in an attempt to sway the moods and feelings of the general public. As such, it seems many are quite concerned with the effects these tariffs will have. Almost all goods, such as groceries and electronics, will become more expensive to some degree, so any regular people who budget will be hit, and as such, it seems there's some resentment toward this plan manifesting online. This, coupled with the memes about the impending recession from a couple of weeks ago, has made it astoundingly clear that the manner in which most communicate about their political ideologies, and that of others, has been through a traditionally deeply goofy medium. It's just that memes have the ability to hold a mirror, however critical or uncritical it may be, to the goings-on of the world outside of online spaces, and the tariffs in which we find at the heart of great discussion and debate are constantly reflected, however warped and skewed they may be, through this mirror. In short, the tariffs Trump has slapped on imported goods have managed to work their way into online discourse, spread via the memes that the general public consistently spurt out, ultimately affecting the manner in which his policies are understood across the board. What meme would you guys like me to give a lesson in next? Let me know in the comments below.
Oh,
and remember, like and subscribe!
Those.
Or else.
My nose is so fucking fucked up, sneezing so much. It's fucking raw. And it hurts.
Hey everybody.
Let's see. Here we go. We're gonna try and get rid of all these. You see what's all on memes.
I always say tariffs is the most beautiful word to me in the dictionary.
April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn.
President Donald Trump announced a sweeping reciprocal tariffs, fulfilling one of his pledges to retaliate against countries he says have treated the U.S. unfairly. Welcome to the Fox 11 News at 5. simulcast on Fox 11 Plus. I'm Christine Devine.
I'm Alex Michelson. Liberation Day is what President Trump is calling his
Here
announcement
comes
of
the
new tariffs.
Liberation
Critics say
Day.
he's encouraging inflation, but the president is convinced it will actually bring jobs back to the U.S.
We will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles.
The president says the tariffs will help return manufacturing plants to the U.S. and rebalance the trade deficit. Last year, the U.S. imported $918 billion more in goods than it exported. Economists warn U.S. companies will feel the pain first, followed by consumers.
This is not Liberation Day, it's Recession Day in the United States of America.
What do you mean?
That's what the Trump tariffs
you guys
are
have
going to
kept
do.
it artificially
Crash the
inflated for so
economy.
long now.
This man is a
what
menace.
the fuck are you, guys
Donald
talking
Trump,
about?
This is one.
It
This
should
is
have gotten
about the worst.
fucked up when it was in COVID, but it didn't because you guys decided to do something to fucking inflate the market. So now that the fucking tariffs hit, everyone's shitting a brick.
Decision, or one of the worst decisions Donald Trump has made, and given
Good.
his presidency,
Everyone
that's
shall
saying
shit
a
a
whole
brick.
lot.
I am your
Feel the
retribution.
burn,
I am your
motherfuckers.
retribution.
On U.S. after Trump's actions? Yeah.
How high are prices going to go? How long will they stay there?
I actually saw it in this story that you just gave, George. There's kind of like a logical disconnect between the stories, the competing stories that your team is using to attack President Trump. On the one hand, you're saying that the countries are really angry and they're going to have to retaliate. On the other hand, you're
I
saying
don't know.
that
It
consumers
seems
are
like
going to bear the
I
cost.
don't know.
and
It
it's gonna
seems like
drive
they're coming
inflation
to
up.
the
But
table
if US
finally and
consumers are bearing the
actually
cost, there's no
doing
reason
some
for the countries
doing
to be
something
angry.
finally.
So the fact is the countries are angry and retaliating. And by the way, coming to the table, I got a report from the USTR last night that more than 50 countries have reached out to the president.
fucking
to begin
Biden
a
didn't do
negotiation.
anything
But
with these
they're
other
doing that
countries.
because they understand that they bear a lot of the tariff.
Ah!
Oh my God.
Ah!
Been right about
Gross.
everything. And if you think about it, I really have.
This is how you fix Bidenomics? Yep. Okay, let it burn. Burn it all. Get the fucking flamethrower. Full power. Alright, there we go. Irreversible damage.
If I go over here and take this young lady by the throat and choke off her air, within seconds she's aware that oxygen is a requirement for life. If I lock her in a room with no water, within a few hours she will begin to suspect that water is a requirement for life. If I lock her in there long enough that she gets ravenously hungry, she will begin to suspect that food is a requirement for life. The oxygen time effect, or cause-effect time relationship is very close, a matter of seconds. Water, a matter of hours. Food, a matter of days. Exercise is just as important as any of those things, but the time factor is much greater, spread out in time. So that if you don't exercise, you don't immediately become aware of it. Might take you months or years, by which time you will have done irreversible damage to yourself, and some that perhaps isn't irreversible. If I...
Very true. Very true. What was this script? Oh, okay. Barely. This is a good quote. Or well, statement. Bye bye. Leaving Earth? Yes. To the moon? Mars? Schwab's vision of a post-COVID world and how the economy can work with nature. The Great Reset. Wait, there's an actual podcast called The Great Reset? They should make one, actually, now that I think about it. They should talk about what they want to do. Davos conference fuels viral conspiracy about world domination plot. Uh-oh. Illuminati? Behind Davos claims about toxic workplace. Whereas have faced numerous accusations of sexual harassment and discrimination against women and black people. Wow. Oops. Founder Klaus Schwab to step down as World Economic Forum's chair. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Eats the bugs. Eats the bugs. Guys, eats the bugs.
Breaking news on a Sunday morning, this time in Orange County, where multiple people are dead following a violent crash in Santa Ana.
The car lost control, slamming into two trees. KTLA's Omar Lewis is live in Santa Ana now with the latest information on this crash. Omar.
We are live this morning near Sagerstrom and Townsend Street here in Santa Ana, where you can see behind me, police are still actively investigating this horrific crash that unfolded around 11:30 last night. We know that 4 people died here on the scene. A 5th person died at the hospital. Another person in this car is now in critical condition at the hospital, as you can see out here, hours after this crash
fucking crumpled.
Happened. Investigators are still combing through the wreckage here, trying to investigate exactly how all of this happened. We could take you to the video and tell you that it was just before 11:30 last night when police received calls for help after a violent crash here at the intersection of West Sagerstrom Avenue and South Townsend Street. When first responders arrived, they found a silver car mangled around a tree. 2 people have been ejected. 3 more were trapped inside. Santa Ana police confirm that 4 people again died on the scene here. Medics rushed 2 other victims to the hospital. Again, 1 person died at the hospital, another now in critical condition at the hospital. So a total of 5 people killed in this crash, another person now fighting for their life. A second car, a black sedan, was also involved. Its driver's side door was damaged, but no injuries were reported there. The Santa Ana Police Department, again, now investigating how this deadly crash happened. Back out here live this morning, as you can see from all of the police tape, this will be a rather long investigation as officers are walking through the streets here, combing for clues. They tell us that Sagerstrom Avenue and South Greenville, as well as other surrounding streets, will be shut down for the foreseeable future. If you live in this area, you will want Sagerstrom. You can see behind me this unfolded around 11:30. 4 people died here on the scene. 4 people died on the scene. A 5th in the hospital, and in this in critical at the see out here. Calls for South Town to silver car. Investigate exactly how all of this happened. We could take you to the video and tell you that it was just before 11:30 last night when police received calls for help after a violent crash here at the intersection of West Sagerstrom Avenue and South Townsend Street. When first responders arrived, they found a silver car mangled around a tree. 2 people
mangled around a tree. 2 people
have been ejected. 3 more were trapped inside. Santa Ana police
2 people ejected. Ouch. No, they're not
confirm that 4 people again died on the scene here.
Oh yeah, 4 people died on the scene. 1 person.
Medics rushed 2 other victims to the hospital. Again, one person.
So that's what it was. 4 people died on the scene, and then there was 2 other victims that were sent to the hospital. But one was both are in critical condition, and then 1 didn't make it.
And died at the hospital. Another now in critical condition at the hospital. So a total of 5 people killed in this crash. Another person now fighting for their life. A second car, a black sedan, was also involved. Its driver's side door was damaged, but no injuries were reported there. The Santa Ana Police Department.
Okay, so the black car kind of survived, but these other 2 the other 2 cars did not. This one got crumpled. The other car got crumpled.
Again, now investigating
They must have been going super fast for it to fucking crumple.
How
like that.
this deadly crash happened. Back out here live this morning, as you can
Were they
see from all of
racing?
the
No.
police tape, this will be a rather
Why
long
would they?
investigation as officers are walking through the streets here,
Also,
combing
this,
for
it
clues.
seems to be at
They
a
tell us
corner,
that Sagerstrom
too.
Avenue
So
and
I
South
have a
Greenville,
feeling they
as
were
well
going
as
way too
other
fast around the
surrounding
fucking
streets,
corner.
will be shut down for the foreseeable future. If you live in this area, you will want to head another direction. That's the latest for now here live in Santa Ana this morning. I'm Omar Lewis for KTLA 5 News.
Total of 6 people inside one car were involved in a violent late-night crash in Santa Ana. Fuck. Oh yeah, the Las Vegas shooter. Yeah, not a lot of information came out about this either. I wonder why. Like they try to keep this under hush hush. The fall of Vitali. Yes, he finally got fucked up in Philippines, I
This YouTube
think it
channel
was.
was known for its funny and hilarious pranks. It was the go-to channel for pranks. Vitaly Zorovetsky is a US-based Russian YouTube personality. His first pranks of dressing as a zombie and freaking people out even got him recognition on CNN. The video got over 10 million views.
Yeah, so, yeah, I remember Vitaly from the old days when he was just doing pranks and stuff, right? These pranks. And then all of a sudden he started doing a little bit more sketchier pranks. All of a sudden.
He got arrested several times as the world's best prankster, crashing the field of the World Cup, the NBA Finals, the World Series. He climbed the Hollywood sign and the pyramids of Giza.
Oh, yeah. By the way, you cannot do this. You cannot climb. If you climb this, you will get arrested. These are fucking protected areas. Right, these are basically like national parks to Egypt. You shouldn't be going here without any consent, basically, unless you're like some kind of archaeologist or some shit.
The controversy was when he attacked a female jogger.
Yeah, this is this was what set everything off. Him doing this really
while
fucked
high
him.
on shrooms. Today, with 10 million subscribers, his viewership levels are very low.
Was it shrooms? I don't know. He was just on some kind of drugs, and for whatever reason, he flipped out and just attacked this person.
Compared to the past. So what happened? Long story short, people think of him as a douche. Also, he tries to post content in 2022 that feels like he's still stuck in 2015. Vitaly ZDTV. This YouTube channel was known for its funny and hilarious pranks. It was the go-to channel for pranks. Vitaly Zorovetsky is a US-based Russian YouTube personality. His first pranks of dressing as a zombie and freaking people out even got him recognition on CNN. The video got over 10 million views. He got arrested several times as the world's best prankster, crashing the field of the World Cup, the NBA Finals.
And then let's go with this.
Buddy, welcome to another episode of Memes of the Week. The best thing you can do for this channel is smash that like button like it's your Alabama cousin, so it reaches a wider audience. And now on with the memes. Number one, here are the villains that Jack Sparrow has defeated. The one on the bottom right is a rare form of amber, made out of pure turd. And somehow that turd was the most challenging battle. Am I the only one that thinks that Captain Bedshitter here was the most challenging villain? Or is that Captain Tuna Turd? Even that monkey wouldn't go anywhere near. Up next, Europeans have gone insane. They used to protect Europe from Muslim invasions, and today they're welcoming their conquerors in. Maybe we need to bring back Vlad the Impaler as a deterrent. On a side note, because Europeans were surrounded by the Muslim world for most of the last 500 years, it forced them to build ships and sail off to other parts of the world, exploring and conquering other continents. I guess we have the Ottoman Turks to thank for that European expansion. Number 3, Ariana Grande, is only 31, and looks like she hit the wall at warp speed. And when she hit it, she put her foot on the accelerator pedal.
Wait, did she... Dude, did she get thinner? What is this? What does this picture look like? She got worse. Fuck. Dude, she's just all bones. Holy fuck, dude. Dude, she's fucking snapping a heartbeat. If you fucking threw her, I'm pretty sure she'd
using
break.
Ozempic to lose even more weight
like
and enter the
fucking
wrinkly stage
porcelain, man.
decades before schedule.
Jesus.
We are going to see dozens of celebrities embrace the heroin chic look in coming years. Which way, guys? Fat Selena Gomez or Bones here? She's
yeah,
rich enough. She just needs to
the
go and
stark
buy some
difference,
food
right?
and just
For
eat
whatever
it.
reason, some actresses go the big route, or they go fucking the anorexic bulimic route. It's weird. It's fucking.
Moving on, you know things are getting bad out there when even Maury Povich is sitting out Bonnie Blue sleeping with over 1,000 men in 24
sitting
hours.
this one out. What
and
the
is now reportedly pregnant.
Bonnie Blue known for sleeping with 1,057 men in under 24 hours.
I doubt that Maury has the
this-
budget
yeah,
for all those DNA
heard about
tests.
this.
And even if he could afford that,
Don't
would be
know
a
if
lot of
she's
envelopes to
actually
open.
pregnant.
Too bad Jerry Springer is dead and his show is off the air. He'd probably do a whole season just about her. Plot twist. None of the 1,000 men are the father. Number 5
none of
Doge
the
is calling for an
1,000 men are the
investigation
father.
into Elizabeth Warren's
You lying?
multi-million-dollar net worth. Looks like they're trying to send Pocahontas back to the reservation. Trump and Musk want to make it look like they're trying to stop corruption, but they don't care. This is just a good distraction, and investigating their enemies means that their enemies can't investigate them, because they're playing the defense. Up next, what the hell happened to Andrew Tate? First off, he went from full Gollum rotting in jail when this photo was taken. It was the worst possible shot.
Yeah,
and
as soon
still
as he
even
got
after
out,
that,
he
his
cleaned
fans
himself
didn't
up pretty
abandon
quick.
him, like the media was hoping for when they published this awful picture. This picture should be an inspiration to all the black-pilled incels out there that he
Oh my god. Let me get a picture of Hobo Tate. This is Hobo Tate. After his time.
even if you're balding and unusual looking, you can still work on yourself and still succeed in life and with women. Number 7, British spies will use semen as invisible ink during WW1. This method was invented by Captain Cumming. What a fitting name.
Captain Sir Mansfield Cumming. Jesus.
And yes, it's true. Was he friends with Sir Thomas Crapper, though? Pro tip, if you're a British spy, don't lick the end of the pen before writing. It was also handy, no pun intended, that the spies came with their own supplies. What I want to know is how they read the messages. Must have used a blacklight or something. I guess this story adds new meaning to the term
You might as
sticky
well
notes.
just give me some
Moving
bleach
on,
after
using
that.
DEI to put women into positions where lives
Give
are
me
on
the
the line
bleach,
is
I'll kill
ending
myself,
people.
it's fine.
DEI really stands
Jesus
for die.
Christ.
As for that plane that flipped upside down, it's good that the female pilot knows how to earn her living on her
Jesus,
back.
man.
It looks like she just couldn't help
No. Are you telling me they're all female pilot? No, dude, don't.
it. Also, what about the
No.
wildfires in California, where tens of thousands of homes burned down while female firefighters ran around like headless chickens?
No.
Andrew Tate was also right when he said he wouldn't fly on a plane with a female pilot. Number 9, we have another black person saying that the original Greeks were black. Why is it that they keep trying to take credit for everything? And why have I never seen them take credit for building the mud huts in
Oh,
sub-Saharan
yes,
Africa?
it's from
Those are
African
marvels of
Stream and
modern
TikTok,
engineering.
yes.
They should be proud of them.
Gotta
But
love
I'm curious
Africa.
about where all the black Vikings, black samurais, and black Greeks went. Who really believes that we was Spartans and sheets? Up next, this science teacher sent nudes and
we was
supposedly had
Spartans
sex
and
with a
cheese.
teenage boy student. Looks to me like becoming a teacher for women is the newest dating strategy. But if a man had done this, how many years would he be spending in prison right now? Also, why did they use such a flattering picture of her?
Yeah,
Where's
what?
the mugshot? In France, if you do something like this to your male students, then they actually make you the first lady, or is that first man? I only have one question. How did she use that fish? Number 11, this guy
Jesus.
faked his own funeral with his wife and kids to see who in his
Wait,
extended
what?
family would show up for that funeral. Hopefully he cut out all the people that didn't show up out of his life. No pun intended.
Wait, he tried to fake
It wasn't
his
his
own death
funeral.
and then...
It was a funeral for all the fake friendships and relationships he had with everybody else. Imagine seeing a supposedly dead person show up at their funeral. At first you think that they were a ghost. Moving on, what's your response to this female bishop after she says we are all Muslims? I'd ask her where her head covering is. Ironically, if the moose looms
Oh, this is memes of the week. Okay, so
eventually take over,
we already saw
she'll
some of
probably
this.
be the first one they eliminate.
Some of it we haven't
I'd
seen.
also love to hear how she came to this conclusion. I know one way to change her mind. Send her to Iran or Gaza so she can be a street preacher. Then she'll realize we aren't the same. Number 13, we have this Virginia Tech academic with her book called Ground Control, an argument for the end of human space exploration. I have a better idea. How about we just send her to Venus instead? It's the nose ring. Always the nose ring.
It's imperialist.
She's probably just afraid
It's
that men will probably
imperialist to
leave
send
never
humans
return.
into space.
Who will she nig if we're all
And this is a person from Virginia Tech, which is a well-known fucking...
off exploring the galaxy? Only morons and women believe that exploring the unknown is somehow evil. I have a better idea. How about we stop sending morons to college? Up next, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you see this dude? Is that the dude from Demolition Man? I guess he failed using the 3 seashells. Or is that the opera singer guy from The Running Man? I always get those two mixed up. Whoever he is, he needs to trim those eyebrows, though. Now I know where I've seen him before. That's Hog Greedley from the Captain Planet television show. Either that or Peter Griffin in makeup. Number 15, this woman just got her child support check and says that it's casino time. It's cases like this that prove to me that eventually no government will ever implement the central bank digital currency. Because if they did, then how would single mothers like this be able to spend their ex-husband's money irresponsibly? Imagine having a body part that makes money for you to use at the casino. Look at this poor fool, already calculating the cost of child supports. Moving on, Amy here wants you to know that video games...
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing you do have to be careful of. These women are fucking crazy. They'll drain you.
Games wouldn't exist without queer people. Now comes the part where we throw our heads back in laughter. But seriously, if this is the truth, then why do their games suck so much and they were all laid off? I must have missed all the queers behind Atari, Nintendo, Sega, and Sony. By queer, Amy probably means communists, and the only thing they've invented is taking the wealth of hard-working producers and handing it over to lazy consumers.
Yeah, go back to Soviet
Number 17,
Russia,
sometimes you should
where
buy
you
stuff
guys are
just to make the
more,
cashiers feel awkward. At the very least, they'll have a story to
probably
talk
shellac
about
you
with the other
over there,
workers
too.
on break, and when they get home. Looks like this bin could also use some dish gloves and a dozen eggs. You boil them at home and insert them up your rear marble sack. Then again, maybe if the cashier saw you order this, she would think that you were hitting on her and call the cops for harassment. Optics never forget insanity like this during COVID. This unvaxxed man was denied an organ transplant.
As unvaxxed man denied organ transplant dies, his wife is asked to donate his organs?
Transplant, and then his wife was asked to donate his organs after he passed away. At least he died for his principles. Yet most people sold out their principles so they could keep their jobs. The balls in that hospital to even think of asking him that after they did that to her. But my guess is they're just thinking about their bottom line. Also, what are they going to do with those dangerous unvaxxed organs anyway? Number 19, this California fire captain was stabbed to death at home in a possible domestic attack.
Yeah,
it was either that or someone whose home had been burned down.
Yeah, they're
right
still
after
trying
her.
to look for that
I
person,
found the
too.
article,
I
and it
think.
was actually her partner.
Oh, wait,
Rates of
yeah.
domestic
Yeah, I
assault
forgot.
among
Yeah,
lesbian
they
couples are
got the
higher than
partner.
gay male couples.
Yeah, but yeah, this is the person that got by her own partner. Don't know what happened. So some shit went down with the fire department or something. Well, what happened? Fucking domestic dispute happened.
Couples and the opposite sex couples. Women might lie, but statistics don't lie. Maybe this story is poetic justice as she let LA burn. Moving on, this ISIS bride begs to go home after she reveals the brutal reality of life after fleeing. That broken face says it all. Who could have actually guessed that ISIS isn't a bastion of feminism? Not her, apparently. Looks like somebody effed around and found out. She made her choice and now she's got to live with it. Maybe America could set up a fake Muslim
Like
state in the
everyone else.
Southwest and send white liberal women there to teach them about Islam. If we did that, then maybe feminism would disappear overnight. Number 21, why is America Schrodinger's country? Simultaneously the most hated place on earth, and yet the one country almost everyone wants to cross thousands of miles to live in. It's not really hate, it's envy. Envious people.
Yeah, and then they come to this country and then they tried to make it Right, and then they tried to instill their own rules from their own right, from the country they fled from. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Didn't you flee because you felt you were getting oppressed? And now you come to this country trying to instill your fucking weird rules on this country? Fuck out of here.
People want what other people have, and if they can't have it, then they destroy those other people. The same goes for white people. Envy
man.
is one hell of a destructive emotional force.
Right to the fucking
Up next, the
slaughterhouse.
leader in a transgender vegan cult.
Transgender vegan cult leader arrested in U.S. over 6 deaths. Oh, is this the Zizan stuff? The Zizians?
Was arrested over 6 deaths. This almost sounds like a joke, but it's not.
No, it's not.
These people are.
Yeah, this shit actually. Yeah, it was like a coordinated effort or some shit. Sorry, Zizaran. It has nothing to do with it. Awfully close to his name, but it's not. But yeah, no, these fucking wackos. Oh, you wanna, yeah. Even the fucking BBC is talking about them. Fuck you, BBC. Big BBC's up the wazoo. Yeah, I can't wait to get my AP ammo into AP News' face. Oh, there's a yeah, there's a video on it right here too.
This story.
Oh, this is just a small little snippet about it. But yeah, these crazies. I think we talked about it when it happened too.
Are nuts and need to be put in the nut house. For some reason, these two individuals look rather genetically challenged, with a touch of fetal alcohol syndrome and a lack of male role models growing up, perhaps. Before I read the headline, I thought that they were the same person.
Well, I mean, they're murderous soy
Jack
boys.
is on the
right?
left and Michelle is on the right.
They're psychopaths.
Number 23, with the 2 recent female pilot crashes, you knew this was coming. Airlines where you can actually pay extra to have a male pilot. Maybe insurance companies need to look if it's statistically women are more likely to cause plane crashes, and as a result charge airlines more money based on how many female pilots they have. I would start looking into that if I was an actuary deciding the rates to charge companies. You know that if the male pilot comes with a mustache, then it'll cost you even more. Also if his name is Steve. Moving on, this is how men see women with itty-bitty titties. This is an absolute fact for many guys.
Oh
and
no,
is it
the
my
itty-bitty titty
imagination,
committee?
Or does that look like Skylar? Also, where's the baby supposed to get its food? I've only ever been with one woman who was flat-chested, and that's the only thing I remember about her. I was on vacation, and it was a one-night affair, so to speak.
Some people are
and that's
flat.
pretty much what I saw, and I never wanted to see that again. Number 25 and the last one, Monica
it's
says,
not that they're
to stop
flat. I mean,
judging
there's
women with high
something
body
there.
counts. Tell me you have a high body count without actually telling me.
Damn.
Imagine if a man told women to stop judging men for
you
being
know the
broke.
saying,
Women would
flat
be
is
dying
justice,
of
or
laughter.
whatever.
Just like we need to laugh at women with high notch counts and walk on by. We will never stop shaming people who are walking STDs. Women want men to stop telling them what to do, but they still want to tell us what to do instead. So that's it for another Memes of the Week. Please
Look,
give this video a
sometimes
like to push it up in
guys
the
just like
algorithm,
to
and so new viewers can find it. If you enjoy this series and want me to keep making it, then donate at the PayPal and subscribe to our links
I
below.
don't think the size is important. I mean,
Anyways,
bigger
enjoy the
size,
rest of your day, and cheers.
Sure, it might be better, but I mean, it's flat is okay too. God damn it. What is this? Women are not unlikable at work, new study shows. Let's look at Sowell's exposes Obama's secret to deceiving Americans twice. Oh, because when he did his terms, and then when he came back to talk in like 2018 and shit like that.
Dangerous illusions of modern politics.
I mean, he comes
is
out
the
to
idea
talk
that
from
racial
time to time.
conflict is simply an unfortunate unfortunate reality, an inevitable product of a society that has yet to overcome its historical injustices. But the truth, however inconvenient it may be, is that racial division is not merely a consequence of history or injustice. It is a tool, a very useful tool, and like any other tool, it is wielded by those who stand to benefit from it.
Yeah.
Racial
Yeah, they
division
wield
is
it like
tool
like a card.
wielded by politicians
right?
to maintain
The
power and
racism
control.
card.
It's a means to an end, not an unfortunate
LGBTQ
reality.
card.
Barack
or
Obama, with his unique
whatever
position
card
as
you
the
want to
first
try and
black
throw out
president,
there
had the
that has
opportunity
some
to
kind of
bridge the racial
political
divide. Instead, he chose to
community
exploit it.
associated with
Obama's
it.
presidency was supposed to mark the beginning of a post-racial America. However, it only led to deeper racial resentment and heightened grievances. Everything from school discipline to policing to economic disparities was framed in terms of racial oppression. The incentives for politicians to perpetuate racial division are clear.
Yeah, and
By
still to
convincing
this
people
day,
that their
racial
problems are
oppression.
due to an oppressive system, they can maintain dependency on the government and secure votes. This is not a new phenomenon. Politicians have been doing this for decades. Obama was a master of rhetoric, speaking the language of unity while encouraging division. Obama's policies reinforced the idea that racial disparities were proof of white supremacy rather than addressing the real causes of economic stagnation in black communities.
Yeah.
Politicians,
I
particularly
mean, it
those
was
on the left, have
Obama who
long
started
understood that
first
racial division
calling
is an
right
asset.
Trump
If you can
Miller and
convince
shit.
people that their problems are not the result of their own actions or decisions, but of an inherently oppressive system, you can keep them dependent on the government and, more importantly, keep them voting for you. This is not a new phenomenon. Politicians have been doing this for decades. But what makes
you had
Barack
Hillary
Obama's
do it
role in
when
this
she
particularly
was
revealing
running
is that he was
against Trump.
uniquely positioned to end this cycle.
You had Obama
Here
do
was a
it when
man
he
who,
was running
by all
against
accounts,
Trump.
should have been the final proof that America was not hopelessly racist, that a black
You
man
have
could
people
not
who are
only succeed
targeting
in this
Trump
country but rise to
just
his highest
on the
office.
basis of just
And yet,
trying to
his
get him
presidency
out.
did not mark the
It's like,
beginning
what?
of a post-racial America. Quite the opposite. It ushered in an era of deeper racial resentment, heightened grievances, and a political culture in which everything from school discipline to policing to economic disparities was framed in terms of racial oppression. How did this happen and why? The answer, as always, lies in incentives. What incentives exist for politicians to actually solve problems? More importantly, what incentives exist for them to perpetuate problems while claiming to solve them? To understand this, we must break down the mechanics of racial politics. We need to analyze why racial division is so politically profitable, how it has harmed the very people it claims to help, and most importantly, how Obama, despite his polished rhetoric, exploited it just as effectively as any of his predecessors.
Well, I mean, we can go to, say, what some of the religious churches are doing, right? Just take, for instance, Fannie Willis. She uses her church. I think she's a pastor for her church, and she uses them like a fucking like a flock of sheep, man. Holy shit, these guys are fucking right. They're zealots.
If you want to understand why
Fascists,
racial
almost.
division persists, stop looking at morality and start looking at incentives. Politicians do what is in their best interest, not what is best for the country. And when it comes to race, their best interest is clear. Keep the issue alive, keep the outrage fresh, and keep the solutions just out of reach. Power and votes. One of the most important lessons in economics is that people respond to incentives. If you create policies that reward failure, you will get more
Pavlovian
failure. If you subsidize
response.
irresponsibility, you will get more
incentives.
irresponsibility. And if you make racial grievance politically profitable, you will get more racial grievance. Democratic politicians, particularly those who appeal to black voters, have spent decades telling people that they are victims of an oppressive system. Why? Because the moment voters stop believing that, they start looking elsewhere for solutions. If black Americans started believing that their economic struggles were primarily the result of bad policies, bad schools, and bad personal decisions rather than systemic racism, they might start questioning why they keep voting for the same politicians year after year. That is a risk that people like Barack Obama could not afford to take.
Yeah,
So
or
instead of
right, the
addressing
people
the
who
real
vote
causes
blue,
of
no matter
economic
who,
stagnation
right?
in black communities,
I mean,
such as failing
obviously,
schools,
people in
family
the
breakdown, and
vote
government
red, no
dependency,
matter,
he reinforced
right,
the idea
the
that
same
racial
thing.
disparities were proof of white supremacy and that only more government intervention could fix them. But here's the irony. The very policies he pushed to fix these disparities only made them worse. Welfare programs discouraged work and family stability. Soft on crime policies increased violence in black neighborhoods. Public
Correct.
schools, already failing, became even less accountable under policies
I mean,
that emphasized racial quotas over actual learning.
we just had that recent stabbing, too. Between a black kid and a white kid. Black kid just grabs a knife all of a sudden because he felt slighted and for whatever reason decides that killing a person over some differences is okay. No lie, I don't. It was over a fucking seat or some shit. Like what? over the dumbest and pettiest thing.
And at every turn,
right? If it's for
whenever these
food,
policies predictably
you're just gonna get
the
beaten to
excuse
death
was
if you don't
always
give
the
them
same,
food.
race.
Oh, you they feel slighted because you looked at them weird or some shit like that. Oh, they're gonna come. They're gonna act as an aggressor and fucking kill you for some reason. I don't know. These people are fucking unhinged.
Racism.
Unhinged.
Group identity politics.
Literally.
Obama was a master of rhetoric. He spoke the language of unity while simultaneously.
Yeah, then you have some people just walking up and just causing issues for no reason, right? Like I said, some of these people are just unhinged.
Encouraging division. He framed America as a nation constantly struggling with
some
its
of them are
original sin of
schizo.
racism, as if nothing had changed since the 1960s. His message to black Americans was clear. You are not responsible for your failures. The system is. The police are against you. Employers are against you.
Yeah.
Schools are against you.
Blame game.
Even if you do everything right, the deck is stacked against you. This is one of the most destructive messages a leader can send.
Yeah, blame everyone else for why you're not getting the things that you wished for or that you're trying your darnest to get, right?
Personal responsibility has always been the key to success, regardless of race. And yet Obama spent 8 years promoting a narrative that undermined that very idea. He normalized the belief that failure in the black community was not due to bad choices, but due to an invisible force of oppression. Results? A culture of entitlement, resentment, and stagnation. The role of the media. The media played a significant role in perpetuating this narrative, assuming racial motivation in police shootings and ignoring facts. Obama capitalized on this dynamic, inflaming racial tensions instead of cooling them. The media doesn't just report the news, it shapes public perception.
Yeah.
And in the case of racial issues, it has been a willing accomplice in distorting reality.
Right, it shapes and
Whenever a black
solidifies
person
it.
is killed by police, the media
Because they just
immediately
keep
assumes it was
perpetuating the
racially
same
motivated.
fucking message.
Never mind that more unarmed white people are killed by police every year. Never mind that in most of these cases, the police officers involved were responding to actual crimes.
Yep.
The narrative comes first, and facts come second.
Yep.
Obama capitalized on this dynamic. Instead of cooling racial tensions.
Notice how notice with the recent stabbings. The activists immediately started coming out as soon as the dad was like, please don't make this political or a social race issue or whatever. This is let me just grieve with my family alone, right? Nope. Had people on Twitter just talking all sorts of shit.
He inflamed them.
Jesus
when
Christ,
Trayvon
man.
Martin was shot, he said,
people are
if I had a
cooked.
son,
Always
he'd
making
look like
it
Trayvon.
about fucking
When Michael Brown was killed in
activist
Ferguson,
issues.
he encouraged
Like,
the
Jesus
idea
Christ.
that Brown was an innocent victim rather than a suspect who had just robbed a store and attacked a police officer. The real issue is that crime in black communities is disproportionately high, not because of systemic racism, but because of a breakdown in law and order.
Last name.
Yet Obama and the media focus not on the criminals destroying black neighborhoods, but on the police trying to maintain order. The result? More crime, more distrust, and more racial division. economic and social consequences of racial politics. If racial grievance politics were a product, Obama would have been its top salesman. But what did it actually produce? Economic stagnation, a declining education, a rising crime. Obama's policies reinforced this trend, making marriage and work financially less attractive. Crime increased in black communities due to under-policing, with politicians and activists more concerned with maintaining power than with solving real problems. The welfare trap. One of the greatest tragedies in black America is the destruction of the family unit. Before the massive welfare expansions of the 1960s, the majority of black children were raised in two-parent households. Today, the majority are not. That is not progress. That is collapse.
Ooh.
The consequences of racial grievance politics are clear. The welfare trap
you do
has
have to look
destroyed
at
the
some of
family unit
these
in black
family
America, with the majority
structures
of
and see
children
if
now raised in
they have a
single-parent
two-parent
households.
household.
Obama did
sometimes.
nothing to reverse this trend.
If they have a
In
one-parent
fact, his
household, then
policies
you have to start
reinforced it.
thinking, are they getting
Ultimately,
the
the
necessary
consequences of continuing down the path of
information
racial
and
division and
getting
grievance
by
politics are
without
dire. We
any
will
issues,
continue
right?
to see economic stagnation, declining education, and rising crime in black communities. We will continue
you
to
have
see politicians.
you obviously have some right, some single parents that can deal with it, but yeah, at the same time, it's more work for them, and sometimes those families get bogged down. Right, most of the time they will get bogged down versus a two-parent family. I mean, but it just it depends. There's a lot of variables at play.
Like Barack Obama,
class,
who exploit racial division for their own gain.
Stuff like
We
that.
will continue to see the media perpetuate a narrative of racial oppression, ignoring the facts.
How their family, how they were brought up by their own family, and then do they still have a family unit and blah blah blah. There's a lot
of false
stuff
narrative.
you gotta take into
But
account.
it doesn't have to be this way. We can choose to promote policies that encourage work, responsibility, and individual freedom. We can choose to reject the narrative of racial oppression and instead promote a narrative of personal responsibility and individual freedom. We can choose to hold our leaders accountable for their actions. We can demand that they address the real causes of economic stagnation in black communities rather than relying on rhetoric and grievance politics. The future of America depends on it. We must make a choice. We must choose between the path of racial division and grievance politics, or the path of personal responsibility and individual
victimhood
freedom.
politics.
I urge you to
Some
choose the
people are
latter.
calling it.
Let us work together
It
to promote
is.
policies that encourage work, responsibility, and individual freedom. Let us work together to reject the narrative of racial oppression and instead promote a narrative of personal responsibility and individual freedom. Let us hold our leaders accountable for their actions. Let us demand that they address the real causes of economic stagnation in black communities rather than relying on rhetoric and grievance politics. Together, we can create a brighter future for all Americans. A future where every individual has the opportunity to succeed regardless of their race or background. A future where every individual is judged on their character and their actions rather than their skin color. A future where every individual is free to pursue their dreams without being held back by the shackles of racial division and grievance politics. Let us work together to create this
Or
future.
because
Let us
something your
choose the path of
ancestors
personal
did, even though you had
responsibility
no
and
part in
individual
that.
freedom. Let us reject the narrative of racial oppression and instead promote a narrative of hope and opportunity. We can do this, America. We can create a brighter future for all, but we must make a choice. We must choose between the path of racial division and grievance politics or the path
no
of
more,
personal responsibility
no more of
and
this
individual
fucking
freedom.
victimhood
The cycle
politics.
of racial division will
No more
continue
of this
until Americans
fucking
recognize
bigotry
that grievance
bullshit.
politics are politically profitable. The only way forward is to reject racial division and
No
embrace
more of
the
this
principles
fucking
of
being
work,
disingenuous and
responsibility,
playing
and individual freedom.
stupid
And
about
that is the
certain
tragedy of
information.
modern racial politics. It is not about justice. It is about power. The choice is ours, but we must make it soon before it's too late.
Yeah, stop trying to force people to to be gate kept from certain information, or you have to believe this information because right, this person says it is true because it's true. Just trust me, bro. Yeah, no, that's not gonna work. None of that shit. If you're gonna fucking lie to my face, you better say you're gonna fucking lie. Alright? Alright, murdered man in wild BDSM session. So, I don't know if I covered this one, but this is what I meant by, you should be careful of women, especially OnlyFans people.
Wrap like a mummy and gluing boots on his feet, not wrapping a man up in saran wrap like a mummy and gluing boots on his feet, not something you hear about often. But what if I tell you some people pay for that to explore their own fetishes? However, that kinky sex act left a man dead.
Wait, did she have
Now
a
the
kid
OnlyFans
too?
model he
Oh my
hired to
god.
engage in the sex acts is charged with his murder.
I'm Elizabeth Wilman with Law&Crime. Now, before we get into this case, I want to tell you about something really exciting at Law&Crime. We're launching a new channel called Scandal that is dedicated to exposing the dark side of fame, covering all the wild crimes in Hollywood and diving into the disturbing rumors floating around celebrity circles. Now, to stay up to date on all the latest celebrity scandals, click the link in the description of this video and subscribe to Scandal today. Now, back to this story. So the spicy content creator's attorney denies that she intended to kill him. Police say while the man was unresponsive, he kept on filming for her OnlyFans.
So this happened back in April of 2023. But let's take you back a month earlier. That's when 55-year-old Michael Dale first contacted 31-year-old Michaela Ray Larsden. Police say he spotted her on a website usually used for hiring
She's
escorts
like one of those
and spicy
older women.
dancers, i.e. strippers. Investigators say Michael had an interesting request for Michaela. He wanted her to wrap him up in saran wrap like a mummy and glue women's boots to his feet. Like I said, interesting request.
Whatever you do not saran wrap the face. Do not do that.
Michaela reportedly said to police that it was the first time she ever engaged in, well, I guess you can put it as fetish behavior. The two met up on April 17th of that same year. Now, their encounter was reportedly between two consenting adults engaging in bondage, discipline, dominance, submission, sadism, and masochism. You know, BDSM.
Yes, I mean, was there safe words?
Michaela went over to Michael's home. Michaela told investigators Michael appeared intoxicated, but they still engaged in their tryst. And she spent several hours with Michael and played out his fetish at his request. Again, as long as it's two consenting adults, what's the harm, right? Well, it was fine until a 911 call came in. When officers arrived, Michaela was performing CPR on Michael. He was rushed to the hospital, but declared brain dead the next day. A few days later, he was taken off life support. His cause of death? Deprivation of oxygen to the brain, meaning police think he suffocated to death. But here's the
Did she saran wrap his face?
thing. It's not like Michaela was arrested then and there. However, she did cooperate with the investigation. Police say she handed over her phone, but what detectives saw was troubling, as they noted it. On her phone, police say that there were videos of Michael struggling to breathe. He had duct tape over his mouth, a plastic bag over his head, more saran.
Why would you do this? You know how dangerous that is? I fucking called it.
Wrap, then duct tape over his face and head. Police say his wrists were bound. His fingers were covered in duct tape. His legs were wrapped in plastic.
What the
and police say he was unable to remove the bag or wrappings that were over his head. It's pretty
stop. Cannot tell me you fucking saran wrapped and bagged his face. Like, what? What? What the fuck? It's one thing to, like, do it around the body and shit, but to do it on his face? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Horrifying to think about. And there's more. Now, police say while he was laying there unresponsive, Michaela allegedly kept on filming content for her OnlyFans. Police say she filmed herself performing a sex act nearby.
I feel like now she's a murderer. She's doing this on purpose. She's a murderer. She did it on purpose.
Before she called 911. But police say Michaela denied putting the bag over Michael's head. During their investigation, they learned more. Like that, Michael
Put the fries in the bag, I guess.
$11,000 to have conversations with him
Put
and
the
to come up
fries
to
in
his
the
house,
bag.
tie him up, and perform other bondage acts with him. Michael's roommate reportedly told police he saw Michaela super freaked out. His roommate told police he saw Michael on the floor in his sweatpants wrapped in saran wrap from his hips down. Prosecutors say while the evidence shows Michael hired her to perform bondage and fetish acts, there's no indication he asked Michaela to obstruct his breathing or put tape over his mouth or a plastic bag over his head. But Michaela's attorney says that there was no intent to kill him and no attempt to cover up what happened.
Doesn't matter. Why the fuck are you How did he have a bag over his head and shit? That's so dangerous. I think even on plastic bags, there's a little warning saying, hey, don't put this over your head and shit.
Happened. According to the Orange County Register, her attorney also questioned Michael's cause of death, pointing to the combination of alcohol and a prescription drug in his system. So what happens next?
There's a reason why you should keep it away from kids as well. Because kids likes to fucking do weird shit with fucking items.
Well, trial. Michaela
like
was
chewing
arrested
on
last month.
fucking
The mom of three was
Legos
charged
and
with
shit. It's like,
second-degree
Jesus
murder
Christ, you're
and
gonna
pleaded
fucking
not
choke.
guilty to her charges.
Ultimately, it'll be up to a jury to decide whether or not Michaela is guilty or not guilty of second-degree murder. But let's bring on attorney Melba Pearson to get her take on this case. Melba, always great to see you. With what we know now, do you see a jury coming back and saying guilty on second-degree murder in this case?
Well, always great to see you and to be on with you. And I don't see this as a second degree murder case. I think because of the salacious nature, everybody's like, oh my gosh. But we also have to look at the intent aspect. And because when the defendant turned over her phone and all the different correspondence that had occurred between her and the victim, it was very
I don't
clear that they
remember the
mutually
differences
agreed to
between
these
first degree,
activities.
second degree.
He actually wanted her to do more than she
leveling
actually
in
did.
degrees means
And so
leveling
with
in
that mindset in
just the
kind of in play, I don't see the
process in which it
requisite
happened.
intent for second degree murder. Granted, there was wanton and reckless disregard for human life in some ways, but again, that's mitigated by the fact that they mutually engaged in something that could result in death. So they both engaged in very risky behavior. Of course, she should have responded when she saw that he had unfortunately lost consciousness, and probably should have handled that differently, but not to go down the rabbit hole because it's not exactly my area of expertise. But when it comes to the BDSM lifestyle, you have to know what you're doing because of the fact that one wrong move could result in someone's death. So
Yeah, so first degree murder involves planned, deliberate, and intentional killing. While second degree is intentional but lacks premeditation. And then third degree is manslaughter. Involves killings that are not intentional, result from reckless. Usually we just call that. Oh, there's also the manslaughter in the first degree, manslaughter in the second degree. I forgot about that. Yes, those can happen too. Yeah, it just depends on how the court rules on it, right? These are all just defenses, right?
So I see negligence on her part because she was
And
not
terminology is
aware
how they
of the rules
work
and
it
how
out
to
and
safe
right
word and
during
all those types
arguments
of things
and
that
stuff in
preserve
court.
life when engaging in such risky behavior.
A huge thank you to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring today's Law and Crime YouTube takeover. Morgan & Morgan is a firm with more than 1,000 attorneys because they win a lot. Now, in the past few months, Morgan & Morgan secured a $9.3 million
if you need
verdict
Morgan
for
&
a
Morgan, there you
$5.6
go.
million verdict for another car accident victim in Atlanta, not to mention $1.8 million in Kentucky after insurance offered them a mere $5,000 in that case. Now, even if you think your case isn't worth millions, why not start a claim and fight for what you deserve? Now, you can start a claim from your phone in just 8 clicks. So if you're hurt, visit forthepeople.com/YouTube takeover, click the link below, or scan the QR code you see on your screen. And it's interesting you bring that part up as well, too, because, reading through the reports of this case, she admitted to police that this was kind of her first time acting in this kind of fetish behavior in a way, and particularly in this kind of encounter with this type of request. So with that being said, it did feel like maybe she didn't know exactly what she was doing, or even the risk kind of imposed in kind of carrying that out. So are you surprised?
I still have some questions, like why the fuck fuck did you put shit over his head? Especially plastic bags and saran wrap. Like, no.
Or I know you are surprised that she is
Jesus.
charged with second-degree murder, but why do you think it was second-degree murder as opposed to a lesser charge, maybe manslaughter?
I think, again, the salacious nature of it really, I think, hit everybody incorrectly. And again, if you are not, again, this is not my jam, so I'm going to keep using this as a caveat. But, if you do some research in the BDM lifestyle, there are certain societal norms that are,
Yes.
again, we may not understand because that.
Yeah, these kinks have been all been levied out and as rules and stuff to them.
Not something we engage in on a day-to-day basis, but if you were to research that, there are a lot of aspects to which, again, you engage in behavior that could result in death, and you have a safe word, and there's just certain protocols that are followed. And so I know it may be distasteful to some, but again,
Hey,
to
I mean, if
understand
you're
the
into that
totality of the
kink, that's on you.
circumstances, any good defense attorney is going to blast a hole in that. Just realistically speaking, because again, you're looking at the consent aspect and you're looking at the negligence aspect because she walked into a situation that she kind of thought she knew what the rules were, but she really didn't. And so this is a cautionary tale for those who engage in that lifestyle to understand the parameters and how to keep yourself safe as well as your partner, whoever you're engaging that behavior with, safe. But on its surface, without any background or understanding of this lifestyle, you're like, well, you saw the person passed out, they're not responding. How come you didn't immediately rip the bag off and, do all of the normal things one would think of? But again, when you're in the fetish lifestyle, that's not necessarily the reaction one has. So that's kind of the rub.
Yeah, there's a weird disconnect, and it's like,
just
yeah,
thinking of the imagery
look, you put
here,
yourself
where
in
we're
that
talking
situation
about
now,
lots
and
of
there's
saran
someone
wrap,
dead.
a lot of clinging wrap,
Look.
as police have put it, a bag over your head, your fingers are duct tape, your mouth is duct tape, and while the victim did want this, while these were two consenting adults, and we do kind of want to stress that here to our viewers, but what are your just thoughts overall just about kind of the horrific nature and just the way that the victim kind of became unresponsive, again, with the duct tape over his mouth, the plastic bag over his head, saran wrap just all over his body. Again, while he did want that to happen, what are your thoughts on just how horrific everything turned?
Well, first off, let's be clear. While he did consent to all of this, when the defendant arrived, he was under the influence of some kind of intoxicant. So again, he was not necessarily thinking and operating clearly in terms of what he was necessarily consenting to at that moment. And again, it's one of those things where fantasy and reality don't really match up, right? Because he's fantasizing about all these things and what it would feel like, but then the reality means you stop breathing for a prolonged amount of time. And it makes it difficult for someone to rip that amount of duct tape or plastic off in a timely manner.
Why
to
did
preserve
you
their
even
life.
do it in the
So
first place?
I think, again, it was a lack of understanding on both of their parts and a lack of really thinking this through in a lot of ways. And it's tragic. It's tragic. Clearly, he's, again, he was somebody who he engaged in this for a good time. I mean, this, again, this may be strange to many of us, but some people derive pleasure from those sorts of activities, and that's what he was seeking. And unfortunately, it resulted in his demise, which is incredibly tragic for him and all those who knew him and loved him.
Yeah, and I remember actually just watching a TV series called Nip Tuck, if people are familiar with that show, they kind of had a plot line exactly similar to this case. This is why it's so interesting and kind of fascinating here. When we're talking about the defense, what do you think that the defense could be for trial? Now, Michaela's attorney says that consent might be a mitigating factor, but not a defense. But she called 911, she performed CPR on him. But what are your thoughts overall on what a trial could look like in defending
I mean, if she plays her cards right,
first off,
she might get manslaughter
because again
dude
of the
did
salacious
die
nature
under,
of everything we're dealing with,
under her
and
watch.
you're going to have to educate the jury. because they can't quite come to a verdict until they fully
Yeah, so
understand
right.
why
Again, this
someone
is
would
going to be
even
up
want to
to
engage in this.
the
You know,
courts
most
to
of us wouldn't
figure out.
willingly want to have our faces duct taped. So you have to kind of get the jury past that initial shock and potential
I don't
prejudice
know.
they may
This
have,
bitch
being
put
like,
the
well,
fucking
something must
bag
be
and shit
wrong
on
with
his
you,
head.
or
I
you're
don't
gross
know.
and
That sounds like.
disgusting, or, you know, that sort of thing. So again,
I
I
don't
could
know
see
why
a
you would
jury
do
just
that.
getting caught up
It's so
in the tawdry
dangerous.
part of it and not really focusing on the law. So that cuts both ways for both the prosecution and the defense. So this is something that needs to be a plea, first and foremost. But if this did go to trial, then again, the defense would have to take that step of educating the jury on the BDSM lifestyle, possibly
Correct.
even calling an expert witness to talk about the norms within that community.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know, and then again, looking
This
at the
is
fact
if
of
they
the
go to
action she
trial.
did take, that when she
Or
realized
she
there was
could
a
just
problem,
settle,
she
right?
immediately sprang into action, showing that she had no intention of, you know, harming him in some way. And like I said, the argument can be made for negligence, but I don't see second degree murder in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and just going off of, you know, the whole negligence part here, investigators say that Michaela kept filming content for her OnlyFans page, even while the victim was lying there unresponsive. Do you think it is possible she just didn't realize he was unresponsive and maybe just thought he was just kind of going along with the act? And my second part to that question is how particularly
say.
damaging
We don't
are
have
those
any of the
videos that
videos.
she had turned over to
We don't have the
investigators that were found
before
on
and
her phone
after.
of her just kind of
We'll have
performing. We don't know
before.
exactly what she was
We don't have
doing
the whole
for her
timeline.
OnlyFans, but as far as, you know, filming content while the victim just lay there
In terms
unresponsive,
of
not knowing
video
just
evidence,
how particularly
because
bad
they
it
can't
was
show
at
us that.
time.
Well, of course, those videos are going to come across as harsh and uncaring, and obviously can be easily construed to show a state of mind that was just evil intent, right? So you can see, again, if you're taking the BDSM aspect out of it altogether, in a normal set of circumstances, this is textbook second degree murder. Right, because of the fact that
Right, if you were to
saw
yeah,
somebody
right, if you were to
unresponsive,
take out
you're
all the
filming,
BDSM
you're
stuff,
not rendering
yeah, that's true.
aid. I mean, you think of sort of like the suitcase homicide, right? Where
yeah, Sarah
you know
Boone.
the defendant placed her partner
Yeah, and
in a
essentially, yeah,
suitcase and
if you
left
took
him
out the
there, and he's
BDSM
begging
stuff,
for
it'd
his
be
life,
Sarah
and she's
Boone
like, "Oh, it's
all
just, you
over
know,
again.
hide and seek." This is a very clearly a different circumstance than
Yeah.
to what we saw in that case, but that video was what was very telling
Yeah,
to
I
show
don't-
her state of mind at the time. And so
I
I
don't
could see
think
the
this is a
prosecution
Sarah
using
Boone
that tape
case,
to
but
say, listen, she,
it's awfully
you know,
close.
she had wanton and reckless disregard for his life, and she's filming while he's unresponsive. She's doing things that one could argue was pleasurable to her while someone was dying, and that sort of thing. So in a vacuum, it could be very damaging. But again, the flip side is she turned those videos over. It wasn't that the police and law enforcement had to get it as a result of a subpoena. She willingly turned everything over, which shows that she clearly had nothing to hide and that she felt awful about what had occurred, because clearly that's not how she intended for the night to end.
Oh, and just this whole case overall, you know, it happened back in the spring of 2023. Why do you think she wasn't arrested, though, until just last month, now 2025?
There could be a number of reasons why. I mean,
Well,
I think
she
that number
wasn't
one, there could have been hesitancy, again,
Yeah.
looking at the entire fact pattern of this.
I mean,
Possibly
she's not a
law enforcement was doing
she's
more
not a menace
research
to
into both of
society.
their backgrounds to kind of understand who they were and how they got to this point. It's possible that they spoke to other witnesses, maybe not necessarily, obviously, witness to what happened, but did the victim engage in BDSM type activities before? Was there somebody else who could say, listen, he asked for this specifically and this is how it ended, or something along those lines? So I think there was a lot of investigation that they were doing around the facts in this case and how it came to be. And they came to the decision that, you know, this was second degree murder.
Yeah, and despite, you know, what the television shows always show, you know, it doesn't happen as quickly all the time when it comes to these types of investigations. And I'm sure even, you know, when it comes to trial, that'll be a little down the line there. Does it come as a shock to you at all that she's being held on no bond in this case? And do you think she should have been given bond? I mean, she's a wife, she's a mom of 3. It doesn't appear that she would necessarily be a flight risk. or anything like that, but are you surprised that given the charge that she's being held on no bond?
Well, again, in a vacuum, second-degree murder charge in most places is a non-bondable offense. So it is not unusual that because of the charge, she's being held no bond. Now, the unique circumstances underlying this case, to me, would speak to a situation where she should get bond because, again, a judge has to make a decision whether or not the person is a flight risk and whether or not they're a danger to the community. And I don't think it's necessarily been established, again, based on the facts that are publicly available, that she is a danger to the community. Again, this was a unique instance and done at
Yeah,
someone else's request.
I don't think she's a danger
And
to the
so
community.
I think that's a slightly different circumstance than her
Menace to
just
society.
doing this just because, again, contrasting with the suitcase case, right? That kind of mindset. So I'm not shocked based on the charge, but again, if I was her attorney, I would have been arguing for her release based on the fact that she has firm ties to the city. She's clearly has children in school, whatever the case may be. She's built a life. And again, this was a unique set of circumstances, not, I just decided to kill this guy because.
All right, there you have it. I don't want to watch the rest because it's probably just gonna go over the same shit. She basically just keeps reiterating the same shit over and over. From Kayla to my killer. Jesus. Fucking hell, man. How can she be charged with murder, but Casey Anthony is out here? The jury better do this lady some justice. I mean, that's true. Yeah, and Casey Anthony is fucking murdered her own child. Purposefully, too, I might add. That's the kink. Being completely bound and losing control. Yeah, it's a damn shame he went to someone who seems not as skilled at such advanced BDSM. What the fuck are we doing? Why the fuck are you entertaining BDSM? What are you doing? Or why are you masochists? Stop it. Not good for you.